But we also understand that while the focus of a woman is to look attractive and be remotely intelligent, the dynamic is that the usefulness and benefit of the woman being in the relationship comes from her desire to be more of a partner. And that's something that you're not going to see on first contact. You're not going to see how helpful she is, how caring she is, how nurturing she is on the first conversation. You're not going to see like how far she's willing to go for you on the first date. But you start getting the sense of these things if she's initiating the first contact, she's initiating the first handful of dates, she's showing you her resourcefulness in getting you to accept her. And then by accepting her, you then accept taking over the financial responsibility of her. I feel like that's a reasonable trade-off. And that's something that you're going to see more in the Eastern cultures. The women are more proactive about covering the cost. And that actually shows the man, whatever man it is, that this woman is interested in him. And then if he is interested in her, then reciprocation will lead to a positive, cohesive relationship where they can depend on one another appropriately. But how do men typically approach this? Well, usually when a man makes the first engagement, we look to see if the girl is even interested at all. So her making the first approach, that shows interest. Then the more this looks positive for us, the more we invest in it. So you'll see men, which I discourage doing, we see men like throwing a lot of money down on trying to prove that they're valuable to the woman, because men are valued based on their resources. But being wasteful with your resources doesn't show value. So I strongly encourage, instead of throwing all your money down on the table, trying to make it seem like you can afford to be wasteful, you should probably be more fiscally responsible with your capital and show interest in a responsible fashion and still be able to prioritize her wants and her needs. And then if you can afford that, you can throw down on some desires, but just getting the basic needs down in the first handful of dates and being able to show the responsibility of prioritizing that, I think that is where the line should stop until both parties start dealing with like the commitment to the idea of a lifelong companionship. Now, putting it down on a table that you're more interested in a long-term or permanent relationship as opposed to the design of a alleged situationship or friends with benefits or open relationship or untitled relationship where there's no commitment involved, and it lasts until somebody decides to walk off. I would say that if you're putting all your cards on the table in the beginning and you're making it clear that you're not while you're not one to say no to a one night stand, you're not interested in the one night stand mentality, and you're not interested in the random hookups and the non-commitment and non-long-term position from some of the people. Now that's going to lower, men already have a very low percentage of engagements from women in comparison to how many times a man approaches a woman. And the fact is that even though that is a low number, it's going to be even lower when a man is only interested in women that are not looking for a good time, ones that are looking for the work and effort required to make a long-term relationship last. They're going to have a smaller quantity of engagements over time, because once women realize that the women that are still interested in entertainment realize that the man is not interested in entertaining her, that those women are going to go somewhere else. The women that are interested in long-term commitment, they're going to stay. You're going to also notice that there's going to be a larger quantity of women that are going to hang around that are over the age of 35, over the age of 40, that are going to hang around because they're looking for the long-term companionship, because they've retired out of the entertainment mindset. And you have to partner that, as I've said before on the show, the difference between finding a long-term companion that you can grow old with versus the desire that some men still have in their later years to start or expand their legacy, and being able to date a woman that is still capable or willing to bear children and raise those children, versus women that are not capable of bearing the children but are willing to raise children if they go out and adopt. And that kind of determines the age range and acceptance range. So some men that are looking for children specifically from the woman that they're dating probably going to turn away a lot of women that are over the certain menopause age limit. And then some men are going to look at the premenopause age between 35 and 40 and determine that if he can't see himself locking in a long-term commitment within that 3 to 5 year range where she can safely bear children before the age of 40, then he probably won't take up that 35 to 40-year-old woman. He'll probably be chasing more of a lower age range. Those individuals who don't care about being fathers, or who already have children and don't have the concern of expanding their family, are not interested in the legacy idea, and is more willing to accept 35, 38, 42 and still be able to live that life. Or those men that are okay with taking a single mother that is 38, 41 and taking over the responsibilities of being a stepdad. That also is an ideology where, depending on the age of the child, and sometimes depending on the gender of the child, because being a stepdad to a girl is a lot harder than being a stepdad to a boy, for all the safety reasons of the man getting caught up in some accusations. The fact is that all of these decisions run through a man's mind. So a lot of the handful of questions he has is like, are you sure you're interested in me? Because this doesn't happen very often. And then, who are you? Are you in a relationship? Do you have any kids? Because those are like the three things that really matter to the woman. What do you do for a living is not important to a man. It is important as to how much availability you have. And then after that, how much effort are you willing to put into the man's success so that the man can put an effort into your success? And are you driven? So none of that has anything to do with, does she has a college degree? Because if you can articulate and you can listen and learn, then by far you're capable of being a high school dropout. You could be a middle school dropout and still learn something from your partner. And men have the patience to teach. But when men try to teach stuff to some women that feel like they already know everything, those women feel like it's mansplaining when a man is trying to tell a woman, hey, do it like this. This is why I'm asking you to do it like this. And really breaking it down so that she can understand the logic and reason. He's not saying do it because I'm in charge. He's not saying do it because of some misdirected feelings. He's saying, look, logistically and rationally, if you do it like this, we'll be more successful. You'll put less effort into the situation. Everybody's happy. And that really requires for the women to listen to the man. So the more educated a woman is, the more she believes that she knows everything. The same way the more educated a man is, he's going to believe that he knows everything. But the difference between the two is that when a man gets with a woman, no matter how many degrees a man has, and no matter how many women a man dates, a man does not know what a woman wants, and he recognizes that, and every relationship goes down that list, asking a woman what she wants, what she likes, what she needs, and then try to remember all of these things. Women don't do that. Women do not proactively ask a man what he wants, what he needs, and then follows his instructions to the letter, or attempts to follow those instructions to the letter. A lot of women believe once they reach a certain age range, once they've dated enough guys or been involved with enough guys, they typically put their mindset in, I know what a man wants, so I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and he's either going to like it or he's not. And that's not the way to do business. That's not the way to interact with individuals, because your ability to satisfy the other person is equivalent to his ability and requirement to satisfy you. So because this is a dynamic shift, we come to find that a lot of times that some relationships struggle with the middle-aged woman because she is set in her ways. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Once you've set in your ways and you're not willing to change, recognizing that change could be beneficial to you, if you're not willing to change, that's when you start becoming difficult for the other person, because the other person is willing to change for you, but you're not willing to change for them. And I find that to be one of the hardest things about getting old, because men and women have this position, but men are a little bit more flexible about making some reasonable changes to make sure that the women fit in the man's lifestyle. And this is something that we've talked about quite a few times on the show, but I think that hopefully that answers your question. Now, Rev says, I want to say thank you, bro. The things I have learned from you in such a short time is working. I'm glad to hear that, Rev. We had a nice long discussion with Sally yesterday, because she tried to make it seem like when I was talking about the mini retirement phase, she was making it seem like I didn't know what I was talking about, and that's the mentality of broke people and the lack of success. And she didn't even hear what the concept was. I specifically introduced the concept of what the idea was, but not how to do it. And as I got off the top of the show, she literally dove in and started making it seem like, broke people talk about quitting early. And I was blown away by that, because I'm like, wait, you don't even know what this is about. And when I started breaking it down, people started taking notes, and everybody started like really diving into this, because not only do you have the dynamic from the mini retirement structure to take a job that you don't like. And I actually think I have a comment in here today that's gonna reiterate this, so I'm not going to go too far into it right now, because I'm going to go into it in like the next 2 or 3 comments. But you take a job that you don't like or that you can't improve in. If in the event that you're trying to change jobs or change the way that you live things, usually you have to make that transition by quitting the job that you have and then finding another job somewhere else. And sometimes there's a lack in your skill set. So when you quit from a job that you've worked on for a long period of time, that's called retirement. And if you're not old enough to live off of the benefits that you've gathered over your lifetime, you still got to go back to work. Now, the mini retirement platform requires you to recognize that if change is needed in your life, you can either take an extended vacation from your job, fix the problem, and then go back to your job and request a promotion, or use that time off from work to make the transition. If you've got the emergency funds to stabilize your standard of living for the platform of emergency funds is 6 months, but I told you based on COVID rules to do 18 months, 12 to 18 months. If you've got enough money to stay unemployed for 18 months and not lose your standard of living, and you've got enough money on top of that to fly to another country and live there for 6 weeks or 6 months and learn something new, then come back and start looking for a job. By the time if you've got 18 months worth of funds, 6 months worth of vacation time, and 12 more months to find you another job, you can learn something new. You can relocate and just make your standard of living in another country, or you can come back to your home country and still be able to transition to a new job where the reason why you left your last job was because you relocated to another country, and then you came back from that country, and this is the skill set that you've obtained, which actually is more appealing in a job interview. Now, with all of that, if you're not trying to quit your current job, if you're just tired of working on this job and you need you a little bit of a break, and you piece all of your vacation time together, you take you a little bit of an extra sabbatical, and you take this time off, you can take time off, go somewhere else. Your standard of living is covered the entire time you're gone, and you can go somewhere else, learn something new, come back to your job, and then request a promotion. So it wasn't just about quitting just for the sake of quitting. It was about starting over. But in order for you to start over, you have to stop. You have to put a gap between what you're currently doing and what you want to do, so that you can make that transition. Because if it requires you to learn a skill set and it takes you 3 to 6 months to learn that skill set, you're not going to learn as much working double overtime on this other job while you're trying to change jobs to something else. It's easier for you to quit the last job the same way career students get paid to learn stuff. If you quit the last job, your standard of living is covered, and you put all of your effort into learning something new and then start a different job based on your new skill set, that's how you change fields. So once we started explaining this long after Shelly went to sleep, it was like, damn, this is a good idea. Now, the other thing that happened, because I know you were here yesterday when we were talking about this, she gave me the statistics that the average American works 5 days a week. And that's not true. The statistics come from companies reporting that the average employee works 5 days a week at their job. But statistics also show that the average household has 61% of American households have 2 incomes, at least. Now, if you're the only person in that house, you got 2 jobs. Period. And this is 61% of America. Now, recognizing that if each job is working you 5 days a week, you could be working 6 hours a day, 5 days a week is 30 hours on one job. And if you're doing that on 2 different jobs where you be working 60 hours, you might work 6 hours in a day, 6 hours at night, and then have 6 hours to sleep. And the rest of that is commute time between the 2 jobs. You offset them where you're off in the evening on one job and you're off in the morning on the other job. And you might find yourself off on both jobs on one day out of the week where you're working 4 days a week on both jobs and 1 day a week on one of the jobs and have a full day off on the other job, but you're still working 60 hours. You have those individuals that can work 40 hours or more on their job, like middle management, and those individuals are working 55 to 60 hours a week as part of their job. Most management positions are asking for more than 45 hours a week. So if you're working 55 hours a week for a manager position, which coining Donald Trump not taxing overtime hours, because the working class makes the most money off of overtime hours because that is time and a half, which is the closest thing to a raise they're going to get. Anything over 40 hours, they're excited because they're making way more money now that it's not being taxed double, which means that they'll be able to make that extra 5, 10, 15 hours of overtime, really drastically improve their discretionary spending and potentially make ends meet. The only reason why the president did that was because more than 61% of America requires overtime to sustain their standard of living, and taxes is eating up all of their overtime income. So once we started proving that, I let her know, like, hey, you might not like the mini retirement strategy. It doesn't necessarily have to be for you. You could use the mini retirement strategy to reinvest in yourself, to take a break, recuperate, and then get back to your same old job, or you can use it to transition. But the fact is that the information that I give to you guys, which is why I start the show late a lot of the times, is because I do so much research to make sure that you guys know exactly what you need to know so that you guys can be informed and then make those conscious choices going forward. So I'm not a seminar that's going to tell you, buy my book, subscribe to membership to something so that you can get the information from me. I'm going to tell you guys every day, every week, every year to like and subscribe and follow my channel and get the information for free. Now, if you like the fact that you're getting the information from me and you're benefiting from the information from me and it turning you a profit and you have enough capital to throw something at me, that's when I tell you, hey, throw something at the channel, because if you follow the channel, you will see that you're going to make money off of this channel. And if you're profiting from it, that's when you start paying for it. But I'm not going to limit the knowledge that you have for free, because you can ride the wave with me to a millionaire and not give me $1. But you could also value what I do and you can support the channel. But you're not going to get this kind of information from anywhere else, because the information that others are going to give you is to encourage you to buy their book, to buy their program, to go to their seminar, which sometimes isn't free. Buy tickets to the seminar, go to their retreat where you're paying money to go to their retreat to get the exact same knowledge that you could sit here with me for a couple hours a night, every night of the week, anywhere in the world, and you can jot down the information that I give you and apply it. And since all of the information that I give you on the YouTube side of things is accessible from the archive from the YouTube channel, all of the information that I give you guys, I put into the comment section so that when you replay the show, it pops back up on the text in real time on the show, and you can then write down the information the next time you watch the show. Or if you missed the show today and you catch the show later this week, you can still get that information and do your research on it, make sure that the updated numbers are available, and then take action based on the information that I gave you. Because if I'm telling you that a stock is a good stock and it's still a good stock when you go and research it, it's still a good stock. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If I tell you that things are changing and the changes that are made is going to give those individuals that had less money the ability to more spending power in the stock option because the stocks are depreciating. You invest more into the stocks, you get more money out of the stocks. And then when all the rich people put their money back into the stocks, whatever little bit of pennies and nickels and dimes you threw in there, double, triple, quadruple, that's what you're looking for. That's what you're looking for. Now, anybody that don't like that, you ain't got to hang out with me on the channel, but I'm going to tell you something about the money most days out of the week, at least 3 days out of the week. But like yesterday, we ended up talking about money yesterday. And yesterday we were talking about improving your personal life because your personal life is tied into your finances and your finances are tied into your personal life. But your personal life requires emotional intelligence, first person accountability, responsibility, and action. You can't just watch your life fall apart and then blame other people. You see your life falling apart, you got to do something about it. You see bad decisions being made around you, you got to do something about it. Because otherwise, life is going to suck. And you can't say that your life sucks because of the country that you live in. Your life sucks because you continue to allow your life to suck by continuing to not make the appropriate choices to improve the things that you don't like about your life. So all I do is cover a different topic every day of the week, 365 days a year, 366 on a leap year, and give you ideas as to what you can look for to make changes in your life. And if you take that advice, do your own research, and then action on that, you'll see change somewhere. And I am always enthusiastic to hear from one of the people that have followed the channel and has actually gained something from the information that I give them. I love that because I know that this information is helpful because it's helpful to me. So I know that it works because I'm doing it too. I'm preaching to the choir right here, you know? So make sure that you guys always take the opportunity to like the show, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's go ahead and take a listen to some of the other ones that pop up here.
Lovely message from someone who told an amazing story via their profile, and I felt sad I wasn't attracted. I replied in kind and wished her well, and it reminded me of a lingering thought. All these people with such depth, potential, and love to share. The self-awareness, the effort, the loves they've lost or had unrequited that brought them here. Just because someone didn't find her physically their type, that gesture from her to potentially share her story with someone else. It just doesn't get off the ground. It's the first time in a while I hope a stranger really does find what they are looking for. It just made me reflect a little who I'll swipe away, and vice versa who does the same to me. Timelines that never come to fruition because of a photo and a directional swipe of the finger. That's sad, really, as much as I do enjoy the apps, as they tend to work for me personally. Just to know some stories never intertwine just on the strength of being photogenic or not. It's just sad.
Well, yeah, that's what dating is starting to become. While we have the capabilities to be engaging in person, we spend less time since COVID engaging with each other in person. We pack our lives with duties and responsibilities, and this puts us in a position where we actually don't have enough time to engage with people in person. So we communicate with people by text. I had one of my clients from Taiwan talking to me today. His girlfriend is in Seattle. He's not in Seattle because she's doing an internship. He's working somewhere else. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll send her a text and communicate with her. And I told him, I said, bro, it don't matter what's going on. Find time to video call her so that y'all can look each other in the face. Because while y'all might have the dedication to one another to maintain a long-term relationship, because they both came from the same hometown in Taiwan. The fact is that your relationship would be stronger if y'all see each other as often as possible. Now, when y'all don't have the time to look each other in the face, like you're available at night, she's available in the day, y'all can send text messages back and forth to let each other know that you're still thinking about each other. But if you're both awake and you're both available and you've got the time, reach out and let them know, hey, I'm available at such and such time if you got time for a video call, and be available at that time. Then he or she can call you and say, hey, how you doing? I missed you. It's good to see you, literally, not figuratively. And y'all can maintain a good relationship off of that. Now, when it comes to the dating apps, women are going to have more success than men, as I said earlier, and some men are going to have more success than other men, based on their lack of photogenic capabilities. Some men based on their personality traits. And like, for example, I'm a guy in a suit. So a woman that's not looking for a guy in a suit will look at a guy in a suit and say, nah, that's all right. I'll swipe right on his photo because he put that outfit together well, but that's not my type. I'm not interested in men in suits. I'm interested in men with name brand street clothes on or something like that. I'm looking for a man that's more casually dressed. I'm looking for a man that's more trending. And those personal preferences that a woman might have will allow them to swipe right on the photo because the man did it right, but still not be interested in communication. Likewise, men have some of the same detours, because like a man might look at a woman's photo and swipe right on a photo, then read the bio and be like, oh, she's divorced, or oh, she's got a number of kids. Or some men might look at the first photo that just has the girl's face on it, and then when the rest of her is in the photo, he might not like the rest of the photo. Or some men might look at a woman and say, oh, wait, she's got too many piercings, or she's got too many tattoos. And these things will deter, while the rest of her bio is excellent for the guy's expectations. Just because she's got too many tattoos, or the one tattoo that she has is too large, and the man is not interested in a woman with tattoos, or the type of piercings that she has is too dominating of the face, and the man is not interested in that quantity of piercings. Even if she can take those piercings out, the fact that she's wearing those piercings in the photo indicates that she's more likely to look like that than look like something else. The same way women that wear their weave and their wigs and all this other stuff more often than they wear their natural hair, what you see them the first time you meet them is the ideology of what you're expecting to see them on a regular basis. And that's what you're deciding on. Am I going to stick with this? But then the other key factor that I tell people on a regular basis, ladies, like when you come out of that weave, when you can't afford to re-up, or if you're just going to let your scalp rest for a little bit, like what does that hair look like up underneath that wig? What does it look like up underneath that the extensions or the micro braids or the lace front or whatever? Because that's what the guy is going to see when you're at home before you put your shower cap on. You know, when you come out of the shower, you know, when you're at home and you don't feel like doing your hair that week or that's what the guy is going to see. When you're walking around the house barefoot or just wearing socks, that's the height you're going to be, not the 6-inch heels that you're wearing out in the street. You know, the sweatpants that you're wearing or the baggy clothes that you're wearing around the house. That is what your guy is going to see, not the skin tight outfit that you're wearing out in the street. And the fact is who you really are behind closed doors, the you that the man has to see, that society never gets to see, is the you that the man needs to be able to get exposed to early on in engagements in order for him to say, okay, I can commit to that, because that's the worst side of her appearance. The best side of her appearance, oh, that's nothing, I'm good with that. But the worst side of her appearance, the man has to be able to commit to that. And see, the women hide the less appealing sides to them during the honeymoon phase. And then when they get comfortable, then the rest of it starts getting shown. And that's when you start seeing a difference in attitudes and attractions and behaviors. So, yeah, social media is tough, because while men have the statistics less than advertisement, where about 1 or 2% of the women that a man engages actually responds appropriately, and 1 or 2% of the women that respond appropriately will get to a first date, and less than 1% of the women that get to a first date lead to a second. Which means that out of 10,000 women that a man reaches out to, the likelihood of him finding a woman that's going to lead into a long-term relationship is probably 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 100,000, depending on where he's at. And and it's where he's at in life, not where he's geographically located at. Because his physical appearance, the outfit that he's wearing, the quantity of income that he can express, the car that he drives, the neighborhood that he lives in, all of these things are factors that decides him on the first date before he even gets to the second date. Answering these questions decides what kind of value the woman has in a man before she meets him in person. And if he ever says that he has too much baggage, if he ever says that he has too much financial responsibility, or if he ever says that he does not have what she might be looking for as far as financial stability, she'll walk before she finds out that he has a good personality, that he has good characteristics, and that if they came together, two broke people can come together and become millionaires if they spend their money correctly. But if she's expecting to get with him and retire on his income and he don't look like he could do that, a lot of women won't take that guy, which means that guy is less valuable to society. And that means that those guys are going to have to focus more on increasing their value. So that's going to mean that men are going to be hesitant in the dating game, because if they're not making 100,000 a year and they know that that's the standard criteria that women are asking for, even though women get men that make less than 50,000 a year, women do make more money than men, and women are willing to be the breadwinners, and women can have stay-at-home husbands. The fact is, stay-at-home unemployed husbands. In fact, the fact is that the dating dynamic still holds the stereotype that a guy has to be financially successful and have primary control over most of his stuff, even if he doesn't own his own house. If he's renting the house and he's the only person there, that's what they would prefer. If he's the head of household, those better be his kids. They're less likely to accept that, but they will accept that. But if he's got adults in his house, that's a deal breaker to most women in Western culture. In Eastern culture, where women are more family oriented, they would be proud to know that you're taking care of your elders. So if you live with your mother or your father, or if you live with your mother and your father, so that they don't have to work and take care of themselves, a woman from an Eastern culture would value that, because she would know that the way you're willing to take care of your family, you would be willing to take care of her family. And that gives her promise in you, especially if she's taking care of her family and you're taking care of your family, and y'all come together, y'all are going to find a way to make sure that both of y'all's families are taken care of. But in Western culture, it is exclusively taking care of the girlfriend, who turns into exclusively taking care of the wife. And if children are involved, the wife might do something for the kids, but you better do for the wife, because if you don't do for the wife, if you don't do for the mother of the children, she's going to feel like she's not getting enough, even though when children get brought into the relationship, everybody's efforts are redirected to the children. So the children come first, mom is supposed to come second, and dad comes last. But because mom no longer comes first, they feel some kind of way about that. That all of these things are going to be dynamics that are going to change the dating game. And we have to recognize that it is harder now to find a partner than it used to be, because they're the single people that are still single, because they're not relationship material. There's more not relationship material in the dating field than there is relationship material in the dating field, because relationship material will be swooped up and no longer available. And what is left over is more often than not the diamonds in the rough that are relationship material that you just didn't see, versus the field of non-relationship material that are proactively engaging each other in hookup culture during the dating phase. Because Gen Zs are spending more time and effort in the hookup culture and less time and effort in the dating phase, looking for long-term companionship. And since the average American out of 365 million Americans, the average American is not looking for long-term commitment until they're in their 30s. You're looking at from 16 to 32. It's like swingers club. Open relationships, undocumented relationships, unclassified, and friends with benefits, and a lot of emotional attachment in the wrong direction, and a lot of emotional detachment in the wrong direction, which is depriving individuals from finding the right person. So, yeah, I can say that it's sad to see. It's sad to experience as men, but we got to get through it some kind of way. One of the reasons why I tell men, instead of wasting your funds on impressing and entertaining individuals that are not interested in you, they're interested in what you're doing for them. If you focus on your grind, eventually you will come across somebody that is genuinely interested in you. And that person will be the person that you give the world to. But until you find that person that's genuinely interested in you, why are you impressing somebody that you don't even know if you like? And I ask ladies the same thing. Ladies, would you put all of your resources into impressing a man that you don't even know if you like? You just want that person to like you. That's backwards. You have to have interest in the other person before you invest in them. So if you change your priorities from men prioritizing sex and women prioritizing money, and you change your priorities to exactly what else can you get out of this relationship beyond those two things, then you start determining what each person is valued at. And ultimately, that's when you start finding the right person for you. So let's go ahead and tiptoe into the next one, because we got a few of these.
Feels like my girlfriend has no respect for me. So me and my girlfriend live in a house where our only neighbors are her cousins in a house just next to ours. Our neighbors often throw parties and whatnot. But here comes a part that makes me feel uncomfortable. She almost always goes to these parties without inviting or bringing me. I even asked once, but she said she wanted to go alone. And to add to the problem, there's a guy there which she has slept with before, and he would easily go for the first chance he got. She does Snapchat this dude even though I express that I don't like it and don't trust her, considering that she has the notifications from this dude only silenced on her Snap. Is me feeling disrespected justified?
Well, she got her cake and eat it too, bro. First things first, nobody, male or female, is supposed to be going anywhere. Look, special shout out to Joseph Hernandez. Drop her immediately. Nobody in a relationship is supposed to be going anywhere without their partner deliberately, especially to locations where their ex is existing. That makes absolutely no sense. You should be able to proactively have an open invitation to your romantic partner that he or she can accompany you anywhere that you are behaving appropriately, which also means that if she cannot bring you or would prefer that you not go, then that means that the behavior that she is performing is perceivably going to be inappropriate for the party, which is why she doesn't want you there, because you'd be disappointed at her behavior. It doesn't matter if she's unfaithful. She could be keg stands on top of the bar. She could be dirty dancing with strange guys. She could be making out in the crowd. It could be anything. It could be anything. She could be doing recreational drugs and you're not that kind of person. Whatever it is, it's unfitting for your relationship. And that's why she doesn't want you to go. Because if whatever she's doing, she should be able to do it in front of you and you should not have a problem with it. Otherwise, she shouldn't be doing it. And this goes the same for guys. A guy should never go on a weekend retreat and not open the invitation for his girlfriend or his wife. When guys get into relationships, yeah, people say you should have your alone time. But How often are you having a guys retreat where women are involved? That's not your girlfriend. A guys retreat, when guys are going camping, when guys are going hunting, when guys are going fishing, it's just the 3 or 4 guys. That's a guy's scenario in the middle of the woods somewhere with the bear, all hanging out. The 4 guys and the bear barbecuing and having s'mores and stuff. Safe zone, no danger with women involved. You don't get that. When you see a guy say 4, 5 guys, oh, we're having a guys' night at a strip club. No. We're having a guys' night at a local pickup club. It's college night, sorority night. Your boyfriend and his 3 or 4 friends are going to go to this sorority party. No, that's not appropriate. If you can't bring your partner, you shouldn't go. Now, if your partner doesn't want to go, it doesn't mean that you're restricted from going. But if you don't want your partner to go, you shouldn't be going. So yes, that is extreme disrespect. When it comes down to social media, I know a lot of people that have grown up in the internet world. Those of y'all that are in your 20s right now, the internet started in 2009, and y'all right now would have been born in 2004. By the time y'all were old enough to touch a cell phone, the internet had existed. So y'all don't know what it's like to stop texting and emailing and DMing each other. But consider the fact that once you get into a relationship, the only people that you're supposed to be communicating with, regardless of the gender, are people that you meet in person. Group communications where you're capable of having that same conversation in front of your spouse. Doesn't mean that your spouse has to eavesdrop in every conversation. It means that you should not have any inappropriate conversations with anyone that your spouse could not go back and say, oh, I ain't got no problem with that. Now, I still disagree with women going through men's phones and checking their communication logs. And I disagree with men having to go through women's phones and checking their communication logs. But you should behave in a fashion where your partner would approve of it. And you should not suspect your partner to make any decisions that you would not make in the exact same scenario. Because your guilt from bad choices leads you to jealousy, and your insecurities leads you to jealousy, and jealousy leads you to unnecessary fights. This gentleman, nail on the head. Your neighbors are her family members who have no respect for you. She's going to her family and having house parties with her ex-boyfriend present, no respect for you. And this is a regular occurrence. If I was you, I would let her live with next door to her cousins, pack up all of my stuff and get the fuck on. That's what I would do. Because since that's your next door neighbor, you're telling me, this is the worst part about this conversation. You're telling me that there is a party next door and you're not allowed to go. What kind of bullshit is that? You can hear what's going on, but you can't go see what's going on. Nah, that's all right. That's all right. Whatever's going on over there is not fitting of your relationship, and you need to get out of that relationship. Let's go ahead and touch base with the next one.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but one day you will stop caring. I know what it's like to go on countless dates and have no success, to wonder what's wrong with you, and why you can't find love but others can. You will stop caring. You will get over romance. You'll fail enough times, and it will hurt, and you will feel hopeless. But then you'll get over it. You'll descend to your romance. You will move on with your life. It will stop feeling so important. You will realize you can do most of the things you want in life as a single person. Finding someone is not the end-all be-all. People are transient. Most of your relationships will end. You will ultimately die alone. You are the only constant person in your life. I know that sounds kinda harsh. I'm not saying to give up or cut yourself off from the world. But my perspective now, compared to my perspective a year ago, is night and day. I used to be that person posting about feeling hopeless about romance. Now I don't even think about it.
Well, guys get rejected their whole life. Believe it or not. Your first crush in elementary school, your first crush in middle school, your first crush in high school, every other crush after that. Then when you become an adult. So the first time in elementary school, when you gave the girl that you liked your cookie from lunchtime, all the way, and that's like 6, 7, 8 years old, all the way until you're shut down for prom, you're shut down for dating, when you actually start actively dating at, depending on the culture, 14, 15, 16 years old, when you guys are hanging out with one another, when you're dating in school, high school romances, middle school romances, and the short live of those. Men get rejected throughout their lives. Once they start turning 17, 18 years old, they start getting those serious rejections, because now you're not only you're not only single from the last relationship that you had, you're also intentionally looking for companionship, or in some scenarios, if you were hurt from the last relationship, you're looking for a lot of jump offs. And then after you finish looking for a lot of jump offs, you start realizing that you want something more meaningful. And that in your 20s is you looking for something meaningful, and you are going to continue to get rejected. Men are not valuable to women the first 3/4 of the man's life, because of the design that a man must be a protector and a provider. So until a man has reached the status where he can support himself, the woman, children, maybe in a middle class or upper middle class lifestyle, until he reaches that level, there's a lot of rejection going on. So yeah, eventually you're not going to care. Eventually you're going to play the numbers game and sleep with as many women as possible, and have short-term gratification with no long-term meaningful gain. Eventually you're going to give up on that. And eventually you're going to just focus on your grind, because you understand that the short-term gratification has long-term dissatisfaction. And eventually you're going to just stay single and focus on doing you, because eventually you will come across the right person. Instead of chasing quantity, you will start reserving yourself for quality. And you will start wrapping your mind around the fact that desperation of not being single for the rest of your life as a goal will force you to lower your standards, lower your non-negotiable expectations for behavior, and coerce you into a position where you quite readily put yourself into toxic relationships and unhealthy environments, because you're going after someone that is not your type, that is not in your best interest at the same time. And you're settling for less, knowing that you're not satisfied with this, but you're going to try to make it work so that you're not alone. You're going to become something that you're not, trying to be accepted by the other person. And then you're going to try to maintain that persona for as long as possible, knowing that these things in combination are going to be catastrophic. The less time you can spend pretending like you're something that you're not, they're going to lose attraction to you. The more often they do the things that you don't like, you're going to lose attraction with them. These two things are going to have two different types of fights from the lack of satisfaction from your partner, and fights from the lack of satisfaction from you. Once the fights start becoming more frequent than the good times, you both are going to start considering looking for a different partner. Whichever one walks out of the relationship first is the person that going to feel like they have ups. But the fact is, you both are devastated and traumatized by the fact that you deliberately put yourself in an unhealthy relationship just so that you weren't alone, or even worse, just for financial stability. So yeah, eventually you're going to give up on all of that and start focusing on your grind. Women are going to do it too. They're going to start focusing on their grind. You're going to start focusing on making sure that what they want in life, they get. And then if somebody crosses their path, showing interest in them, that they might have a partner that will share their interests going forward. Now, the difference between women and men is that women are still going to be judgmental while working on that grind and not really wanting to be alone. But women are not the same as men, because men are going to really focus on their grind. And when a woman starts paying them attention, it's like, oh, snap. I remember I have value. Let me see what she's about. At least give her a chance. And that's going to be the difference. So my advice to women, middle-aged women, if a guy approaches you, give him a chance. It's not about spending his money. Give him a chance. See what his personality is like. See what his characteristics are like. See if he's capable of prioritizing you, because it's not going to hurt you to go out there and investigate and discourage him from spending money on you. That way, y'all can actually get to know what each other is about and decide if this is the kind of person you want to spend an extended period of time with. Then you start pulling out some of the stops. But just diving in and from the first encounter to becoming part of his bills, nah. No woman should make that a goal to start their relationship as being a debt to the man. Not indebted to the man, but being a debt for the man. Especially all of these self-proclaimed higher value women that claim that they can do it all on their own. You shouldn't even be talking about going Dutch. You should be insisting on only utilizing his time and not accessing any of his resources, because you're going to be entitled to his resources if you turn this into a relationship anyway. You should be intentionally discouraging him from investing anything in you until you are sure that that's the man that you want. Because that takes all traditional pressure from you, from feeling indebted into him and feeling obligated to entertain his bullshit because he's paying all of this extra money for your time. This also discourages him from feeling entitled, or you feeling obligated to perform acts that you otherwise would not have performed because he spent so much money on you today or this week or this month, which preserves your purity in a more effective fashion. Joseph says women usually have a plan B or a plan C. Women usually have 26 different plans because they've got a handful of guys that they're interested in, a handful of guys that are interested in them that are in the friend zone, that are just friends for 5 or 10 years, 15, 20 years, that are waiting for their shot. You have exes that they're still on good terms with, that are looking for a second go round to try to make it work again. So women have a large quantity of opportunities. And when those opportunities start running out, when the men start going somewhere else because they moved, they got involved with another woman, those men are no longer interested in her, they've passed away, whatever the case may be. Once the dynamic has changed and the women have less options, then she settles with whoever will accept her. But as long as she's got more options to choose from than she has time in the day, they will play the field into their 40s, which is a bad choice, because the one that probably was right for you was the one that was probably standing there waiting for you to make up your damn mind. And I feel like it's a conflict of interest that you're not looking into, because the friend zone should have never been the rejection zone. The friend zone should have always been step one. Become good friends with this person, know the ins and outs of this person, and then progress this person into a relationship. And then progress that relationship into a marriage. Because your wife cannot be your friend if you did not have a friendship with your wife before you got married. But if you started a relationship with your wife before you got married, you were never friends with her. You guys have just bonded over time in a romantic relationship. So in order for your wife to be your friend, you would have to establish a friendship before you establish a romantic relationship, because a romantic relationship will develop a certain type of bond that does not come from a friendship. Both a friendship and a romantic relationship each has its own individual bond that can lead to long-term loyalty, long-term duty-bound behavior, long-term dedication. But if you have a friendship and that friendship turns into a relationship, you have a double bond that's harder to break. So the fact that you're only dealing with single bonds now, look, I'm using chemistry analogies. The fact that you're only using single bonds now, you're not dealing with stable relationships. You're dealing with duty-bound relationships, but you're not dealing with stable relationships because there are no friends. We meet, I spend a bunch of money, we hook up a few times, guy likes the sex, girl likes the money, we turn it into something. These are not stable relationships. Odds are, if you ask a man on the street in front of his woman, what does she do that brings you value? He's not going to have a clear answer. Bullshit he's going to say is, she makes me happy, which means she does absolutely nothing besides good sex. If he can give you a list of stuff that she does, like a personal assistant, she's doing stuff for him that's valuable. But if the only thing that comes out of his mouth is, she makes me happy, she takes good care of the kids, she ain't doing shit for you. Likewise, if anybody asks a woman, what does your man do that you value? More often than not, she will go down the list, the stuff that he pay for, the things that he do going out of the way for her, the standard of living that he's providing for her, the consideration of her wants and needs and expectations, because this stuff gotta happen in order for him to be considered a man. And think about this now. If y'all walk down the street and y'all see a couple and you ask the woman first, what does your man do for you that you value? Then ask the man, what does she do for you that you value? I'm going to be honest with you. First thing people going to say, well, she just makes me happy. Second thing somebody might say, well, she's a good cook. They might say she takes good care of the kids. But that's it. That's it. You're not going to have a man say, oh man, she handles my whole portfolio. She takes all my money and invests it in the stocks and brings me back 168% returns. She bought me a new car. She bought me a new house. You're not going to hear that. You hear that type of information when a guy's got a sugar mama, right? The cougars, the older women that are financially stable, that are dating the younger men, and they're bribing the man with resources because he otherwise wouldn't be interested in her outside of sex. And oh, she got me this gold chain. She got me this outfit. She bought me this bracelet, this watch, this, that, and the other. But after he goes down a list of all the stuff she bought him, well, besides buying you stuff, what else does she do for you? Think about it. So, yes, you will stop caring about romance. You will stop caring about that fantasy and start thinking about realistically. When your heart stops, you're dying by yourself, but you won't be in the room by yourself if you can find somebody that's willing to ride that wave with you. But you're more focused on expanding your options, men and women alike, because passport bros and passport girls are doing the same thing now. They're flying to other countries looking for alternatives. So if you ain't got enough money to hop a plane to another country, you getting your money up right now. Because if the women in your city, if the women in your state not good enough for what you're trying to do, or if they're not interested in you, you're flying to another state. If the man that you looking at in the city and state that you in, not what you're interested in, you're flying to another state. If the men in this country that you're looking at are not your style of man, you're flying to another country. If the women are not giving you the respect that you deserve, you're flying to another country. So if your money ain't right, most people are focusing on getting their money right. Because once you get your money right, $11,500, fly you to another country and find you the person that you want to have. And if you don't move there, you might fly them back with you, which will cost you another $5,000. But now you got the person that you can spend the rest of your life with, or at least the next 15 to 20 years with, to, develop happiness, which ultimately means that you're no longer tiptoeing around in nightclubs. You're no longer bar hopping. You're no longer throwing it against the wall, twerking in open public. You're focusing on making your money, and you taking your behind the bed so that you can get up and make money tomorrow. So yeah, in your early years, it's devastating the first time the girl breaks up with you, or the first time you find out that she cheats on you. And it's devastating the first time that a guy breaks up with you, or the first time that the guy cheats on you, or the first time that the guy only uses you for sex. And then when you don't want to give him sex, he stops talking to you. But you're going to get tired of the bullshit after a while. And you're going to stop chasing quantity and start preserving yourself for quality. Now, when you start preserving yourself for quality, the frequency of engagements are going to be so low that you're actually going to be interested in seeing what the person has to offer when they finally do engage you. The first time somebody talked to you this year, you're going to be like, oh, damn, I wonder what could become of this. But as long as you got 100,000 people talking to you on a social media platform every day, you don't care, because you can jump into your DMs and ask the first 5 people that's willing to spend money what they got going on this weekend, and have you a free night of entertainment. And fellas, if you're attractive enough and you got women wanting to hook up with you, you dive into them DMs and find out which one's available. But when that well runs dry, and it will, you're going to be middle-aged and you're going to have to get over it, and your life will still go on, but you're going to start going back to focusing on your grind. So let's go ahead and touch base with the next one. We got a couple more.
I was in a situationship with a guy for 11 months, and he was flirting and all and showing interest in the beginning, and later on started having distance and said I have communication problems and I wasn't being clear. I don't get you to flirt with me several times. I can remember it to be 9 times. And after like this new year, after January, he started acting weird. And when I confronted him, he was really, really disrespectful. And when I finally decided to block him, he comes back after 10 days and says, hey, how are you? Says, I am in a new relationship. It has been 1 month, blah, blah. I was shattered. I felt like a fool. He said, I thought you weren't serious. And when I questioned him and started crying, he left me on the phone.
Okay, so your first mistake was that you was in a situationship for 11 months. What the hell kind of engagement you got going on where you're basically sleeping with this dude, but it's not a relationship? Y'all not committed to one another, so y'all are still exploring y'all options. You was content with the lifestyle that you had with him because whatever he was doing for you, flirting with you and trying to entice you into being in a real relationship, you wasn't receiving that. You might have liked his gestures, but you didn't reciprocate. He's getting frustrated with the fact that you're not reciprocating. You're not in a committed relationship because you're in a situationship. A situationship is something above friends with benefits. You're doing couple stuff, but you're not classified as a couple. You're classified as single. So situationship. Basically, you were not emotionally invested. You were not physically invested in the relationship. No engagement that a man has with a woman for 11 months straight is not his effort for a legitimate long-term relationship. So if this man was consistent with you for 11 months, you had almost a year to decide to get up off your behind and start treating this like a real relationship. And you didn't. He got tired of it. You felt disrespected. He moved on. You blocked him. Then when y'all cross paths down the line, he's letting you know that for the past 30 days, he's been involved with somebody else. So out of the last 12 months, 11 months he gave you his undivided attention. Y'all fell out on the 11th month. Now y'all not interacting with one another. He found somebody that's giving him the attention that he wants. And now you are devastated that he found happiness without you. I would have left your ass on the phone crying too, because I'm gonna be real. This is why men should not be in the friend zone. Specifically because you are a man. I can't tell what women's mentality is when they're in the friend zone, outside of the fact that they benefit from the emotional attention, the validation, and the resources that they get from the men, because men behave like husbands when they're in the friend zone, because they are emotionally attached to this woman, but she's not interested in a relationship. But because a man is emotionally attached to the woman in the friend zone, that is the reason why that man cannot find happiness with another woman. This isn't like he's not interested in her, she's not interested in him. They're like locational buddies. They hang out in the same spot and, you know, enjoy life, but he's not emotionally attached to her. This guy wants a relationship with her, but he's in the friend zone. She's not interested in him, but he's interested in her. No woman that talks to him will give him the time of day, because she will recognize that his heart is already taken. And women are emotional. Men are physical. A man could care less if you've got a husband or a boyfriend. You can love your husband and boyfriend all day long. If this dude just wants to have sex with you, he does not care where your heart is at. He just cares where your body is at. Women are emotional. Because women are emotional, if your emotions are dedicated to somebody, you are done. So you can't even get involved with a woman and pretend like you don't have feelings for somebody else and try to see if you can make something work with her. And I know some people are going to ask me, well, how do married men make it work? Bro, you fell out of love in the marriage. That's the reason why you're able to get emotionally attached to this girl. Now, whether or not you tell her the truth on first contact that you are married, whether or not you're taking your wedding ring off and just not saying anything about the fact that you're married, that is the actions and behavior that will misdirect the woman into assuming that you don't have an attachment somewhere. But the fact is that a woman is not going to stay with a man that is declaratively in love with and dedicated to his wife. A woman is willing to be the side chick if the man does not have emotional attachment to the wife, but he has a financial duty to the wife. He has a legal duty to the marriage. So he loves the side chick, but he's obligated to stay married to the wife. The woman will stay for that. But if his heart belongs to the wife, outside of the one night stand, she's not trying to hang out for 11 months with guaranteed no commitment. No, women need commitment. Men need companionship, but women need commitment. So you're looking at the structure that you just fucked up your own opportunity. So whatever positive relationship that he has with this next girl, that could have been you. So instead of hating on him, you got to rethink your poor decision-making skills. If you did not want him, you should not have been in an 11-month situationship. Convenient sex partner. If you wanted him, you should have proved it by putting in the effort into identifying it as a real relationship, a long-term committed marriage-driven relationship. That way he knows exactly what he's in. Because while women don't like being compared to cars, a man don't pick up a car without getting a deed. He gets a guarantee that that's his car. Before he lets the money go, he's got to see a guarantee that that's his car. Ain't no man paying car notes for a car that ain't his. I mean, unless it's his girlfriend or one of his homeboys or something like that. But I'm saying, like, from the perspective of ain't no man going to a dealership and giving the dealership money for a car that ain't his, that somebody else can buy and drive off with. It's not going to happen. So likewise, ladies, y'all have to have the mentality that the man is investing in you because he wants you to be his woman for as long as possible. And when he recognizes that that's not what you want, he's going to stop investing in you. And then because he's hurt, he's going to be disrespectful because he invested 11 months into you and realized that nothing that he's going to do is going to convince you to commit. So now he's hurt and he's going to lash out negatively, which I disagree with, but he's going to lash out negatively, disrespect you, finish the pushing of away, emotionally detach from you, and then redirect his investments into another woman that actually is going to show him the reciprocation and dedication and devotion that he's looking for. So yeah, I can't tell you that, oh, he messed up. No, you messed up. You let him linger for 11 months. Shouldn't have done that. And had that shoe been on the other foot, I'd be telling the guy the same thing. Let's go ahead and check on the next one.
What factors contribute to a man falling in love? Is it true that men fall in love more easily than women?
Yes. The factors that men have, I told you earlier in the show, the factors that men have with women is physical attraction, and then the physical intimacy, and her ability to cooperate with his objectives. Plain and simple. Now, you can go into more detail with that, but a man is going to fall in love with the woman off of physical appearance first. It could be the pheromones that she's giving off with the perfume that she's wearing, her scent, whatever, her visual appeal, and love at first sight can happen for a guy more frequently and more often than a woman. But every person still has 150 times in a lifetime. It's just the frequency of that in a year. Now, it is a thin line between lust and love, and it is nearly impossible for individuals to determine the difference between the two. You can identify the love over lust once you've gotten the sex out of the way, which is one of the reasons why Western culture has rushed sex first before the relationship. But also, if the sex is good, they will stay in a relationship for the sex. And then when the sex stops, the relationship starts getting rough. Which is why, even though there is a sexual desire for the other person, you should prolong that for as long as possible and pay more attention to the emotional attention that you're getting from the other person, that you're wanting to give to the other person, because that is going to be what is existing in the relationship after menopause, when the woman's sex drive goes up, and after midlife crisis, when the man's testosterone goes so far down that he's got to take some little blue pills to get it up. When the older a man gets, he develops more estrogen than testosterone. Men lower sex drive, has lower desires for sexual engagements, and you're only going to have left at a certain age the emotional attachment and the duty boundness to the woman that is still with you when you're no longer functioning as a man. When you got to take that little blue pill to keep from pissing on your shoes, there is no sex there. So if you manifest the emotional attachment first, make sure that this is what you want, then throw in the sexual attention, you will have a more dominantly strong relationship that is not contingent to if you get laid. And then in those romantic relationships, if women are not making excuses 21 days out of the year or 21 days out of the month about why you're not getting involved with your boyfriend or your husband, you can enjoy as much of his sex drive until his sex drive runs out, because when your drive goes up, you're going to have the same frustrations at 45 and 50 that he had between 25 and 40 when you wasn't in the mood. So the dynamic will shift, and y'all are going to have to work that out. But typically with men, it starts with first sight, first smell, first sound. And then after that, they're just overly involved in the situation. Now, the longer you discourage him by rejecting his advances, accusing him of love bombing, devaluing his feelings, the quicker he will build resentment against you and then just move on. And because he moved on, you'll say, see, I told you so, but you self-sabotage that. The same way the woman before was in a situationship for 11 months. Within the first 90 days, you should have turned that into a committed relationship and said, all right, we're a couple. We've been doing this consistently enough that we're a couple. You should have 6 months. We've been doing this for 6 months. We're a couple. We're going to make this work. You understand? But that's not what happened. You should have been flirting back. You should have been making up for lost flirts, but that's not what happened. And men get tired of being rejected, and just denying his advances or not acknowledging his advances as being genuine is rejection. And women don't understand that, but that's true. Rejection isn't just saying that I'm not interested. Rejection is hitting a man with, oh, you tell all women that. So what you're saying is that I'm not genuinely telling you how I feel. That's a level of rejection. Do you do this for all the girls? That's a level of rejection, because you don't believe that he genuinely wants this for you, with you. You got to change that. You got to show him that even if this is his go-to for every woman that he's going with, these are the things that he does for the woman that he's interested in. And right now you're that woman. So you're supposed to take that action and value it as if you're the only woman that he is ever been interested in, the same way women want a man to accept that woman as if he's the only man that's ever slept with this woman, knowing that with hookup culture here in 2025, most women are not virgins after 16. And a lot of them can't remember their first time by the time they're 22. So when they're 25 and 28 and 3 kids down the line, and you want this man to accept you as if you're a 30-year-old virgin, no, you can't have that mentality and then treat the man like he's got 50 women on his plate, when you know statistically you're probably the only woman that talked to him this year. Really. So not only is it a level of rejection, it's also an insult to injury, because he's been rejected this whole time, stood up, used for a free meal, and then left on red. And you're the first person to give him the time of day, and you're treating him like he's a player. That hurts. So you're going to push the man away by doing stuff like that. So if the man performs an action, you take it upon yourself to assume that is his way of showing you that you are the only one. Because if you can't believe that you're the only one out the gate, you shouldn't be talking to the man. All right, let's go ahead and touch base with the next one. Make sure y'all like and subscribe as y'all pass through. And
my boss just
if you're
texted
on-
me implying that I will be fired if I go on vacation for 4 days, even though I gave 2 months advance notice. My family already purchased the tickets and everything. Is there anything I can do?
Yeah, fuck them. Go on vacation. So what I was about to say was like and subscribe, follow if you're on Twitch, follow if you're on Twitter. And then when you have time, do like Steven did and come over to YouTube and follow us on YouTube as well. Subscribe to the channel and like us on YouTube. That way, when we go live, you know about it. You can watch us from wherever you watch us from, because we're a multi-platform podcast, but you get the push notifications from YouTube when you don't get them from other platforms. So this gentleman says, well, he asked for time off. He's going on vacation. Boss is talking about something. If you don't show up from work, you don't got a job. Well, then fuck it. I don't got a job. One of the reasons why we talked about the mini retirement yesterday, working class jobs typically mold the mentality of the employees to the magnitude of slavery, where you believe that you are duty bound to this job. Like if you don't show up for work, your life is over. First of all, my mama used to tell me when I was small, and I'm going to tell y'all the same thing. The job is not going to close down if you don't show up for work. Now, she was wrong. My job did close down quite a few times because I wasn't at work, but that was because I was that damn good. But I still wasn't valued for the effort that I put in. You are not going to lose anything if you take time off. Your contracts that you sign with your jobs, y'all don't read the contract. Y'all just sign all the papers so that you can start working so you can get the paycheck. But it is a contractual obligation. They are supposed to schedule you. You are supposed to show up when they schedule you. If they don't schedule you, you don't work. They have an obligation to schedule you reasonably based on your skill set. But some companies manipulate this and force you to quit by giving you less hours than what you need to survive because they don't want to fire you and have to pay for unemployment. Some jobs guilt trip you into coming in on your days off. And then they make you take extra time off from work during the same pay period so that you don't go into overtime, which is abuse of your time. If they know that on certain days that they're going to need you to come in and you are already available, they should schedule you for those days. That way, the days that you are off, you don't have to come into work. I used to have jobs that I worked in where I only worked volume. So what it means is about 30 minutes before it got busy, I showed up. Whether you wanted me to or not, I showed up. And I stayed there until it stopped being busy. About an hour after it stopped being busy, I went home. Whether you wanted me or not, I went home. Why? Because I'm still doing 55 to 60 hours a week. But because I was only there when it was busy, you didn't call me when it was slow. You're sending people home, putting extra people on breaks. And I'm operating on a skeleton crew. I got 3 people doing a job of 12 or 15. And you're still hitting all your numbers. Long story short is, though, under these observations, the job is supposed to give you advance notice of your schedule, no less than a week in advance. If you have a set schedule, they can get away with posting the schedule 24 hours before the new work week because they're not going to change your schedule. They're supposed to notify you 24 hours before you have to work that you have to work. So they'll get away with not giving you the schedule, but they're supposed to give you a 2-week schedule or a 3-week schedule or a month-long schedule so that you know when you're supposed to be coming to work so that you can plan your life around your work schedule instead of you planning your work schedule around your life. Now, you are obligated to give your employer a week to 2-week notice before the new schedule comes out that you're planning on taking time off for any reason. A lot of blue collar jobs will tell you there are blackout dates that you're not allowed to take time off. It's all hands on deck on these days. And it's typically holidays and special events, which means that you as the hourly worker are not allowed, according to the company, to enjoy any holidays if they don't schedule you off or any special events if they don't schedule you off. Fuck that. 2 weeks before the schedule is made, if you tell them you're going to that special event, they can't tell you no. 4 months in advance, if you tell them that you're going on vacation, they can't tell you no. And if you request that time off, and this is funny, the reason why it's a request is because you're asking master to stop working. And if master say no, you got to go to work. No, you're telling them in advance, I'm not coming in on these particular days. Now, if you don't fill the schedule before that time, your schedule will be short and I will not cover those shifts. Now, if they decide to terminate you for that, you're going to get unemployment for that because that has nothing to do with your work ethic, and they cannot terminate you for telling them 4 months in advance that you're not coming to work. But if you're planning to go on vacation, you're using that early retirement strategy that I gave you, you put some money aside where you've got 8 to 12 months worth of money sitting on the back end in case you decide to quit your job off of this conversation. You're going on that 4-week vacation, and when you come back, if you're not on the schedule, fuck it. fill out your unemployment. You still got 8 to 12 months worth of income to cover your standard of living, and 12 months from work for unemployment compensation to cover you on top of that for the next year, which means that you could take another 3 months off from work, rest, recuperate, learn some new skills, and then go find you another job. But that type of job is the reason why I told y'all yesterday about the mini retirement strategy. Because if you can't even take time off, giving a season plus advance notice, like here in January, I'm going on vacation in July, and the boss says, oh, no, you can't because you got to be here for the 4th. No, I don't. You better be hiring somebody right now and training that motherfucker to be in my spot when I leave, so that when I come back in August, we could go back to the regular schedule. But I'm leaving in June, so that I'm going to be gone for July and I'm going to come back in August. We're not discussing this. I'm telling you that 4, 5, 6 months from now, I'm not going to be here for 30 days. And they're not supposed to terminate you for that. But if you got the kind of job that will, or if you got the kind of job that won't terminate you, but they'll be petty and they'll cut your hours down to like 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week, because they can't count on you because they filled your work position and they got to work you back into the schedule. That's fine. I'll take that because I still got the 8 to 12 months worth of income to cover my standard of living. I'll take that, work that part-time, and use the extra time to go find me another fucking job. Because when I leave from you, I have another plan. But when I leave and go out of town, or when I leave and go out of country, I have another plan when I come back. So if you decide that you're going to fire me and I'm already looking for a new job because we had this conversation, by the time I come back, by the time I fly back into the States, I'm going to interviews. So me working less is beneficial to me because I can do my 20, 25 hours a week with you. And then I can go on my 3 to 5 interviews a week until I get the job that I want. Now I'm working for somebody that values me, and I have a skill set that probably gives me a promotion. And instead of me telling my new employer, oh, I quit because my boss wouldn't let me take time off, I can tell my new employer, well, I took an extended leave of absence to go to another country and do X, Y, and Z in another country. I learned this, and this, which is beneficial to my skill set. And now that I'm back in the States, I'm looking for the kind of job that matches my current skill set. I left because I relocated. And now that I've relocated back, I'm looking for a job. That shows that you are reliable. If you say, well, I left my last job because me and my boss didn't get along, that shows that you're unreliable. So with that being said, you should be able to take my mini retirement strategy, put it to use. Because if you're working on a job to get on your damn nerves, you need to be looking for another one. But in order for you to find another job, you're going to have to find another job in a different industry, because usually, like people who work in restaurants, every restaurant is the same thing. It's the same atmosphere. If you work in warehouses, every warehouse is the same atmosphere. If you work in grocery stores, every grocery store is the same atmosphere. So if you don't like the kind of job that you're working on, you need to set it up where you can take time off of that job, learn something different, and go get you a different industry employment. Change industries. Because changing jobs is not going to make the job better, because it's the same old shit, just a different uniform. But changing industries, you'll be doing something different with a different type of environment, and you might actually like that. Not to mention, a lot of people who either dropped out of school or didn't finish college, or finished college and didn't use their degree for what they wanted to get their degree in, might be working on a job that they did not like out of desperation for paying the bills. And if that is the case, you're in the position where you didn't like this job to begin with, and now your boss is giving you a bad time. Start looking for something that you like to do and get the skill set up, take time off from work, get the skill set up to meet the qualifications for that, and then go change jobs. I have a buddy of mine that's working in semiconductors. He's doing marketing. He's trying to go from being a project manager to being a product manager. There's a difference. One is handling the individual operation, and one is controlling the actual product that's being sold to the company. I mean, being sold by the company. In order for him to change positions, he has to show that he can recognize how to change the product for the company to make it more suitable to the customers, not just how to advertise the existing product to the customers, which means that you have to learn another skill set. And then you have to adjust your resume to reflect that. Then you want to, if you're going to, I recommend try to get the promotion from your current job because he doesn't have bad blood with his current job. But if his current job tells him, no, what am I missing from this position? And they'll tell you what skills that you're missing. Then you meet those skills and go get you another job, because exactly what you're looking for, the competitors to your job is looking for the exact same criteria. The difference between the two is that companies usually promote from within, unless you did something wrong that makes your company not like you, before they hire from outside. Now, if in the event that your company doesn't want to promote you and your company does not, and your company doesn't have anything wrong with you, you meet the criteria, they're just not interested. Well, your company just got put on notice because you're looking for a raise in pay, you're looking for different responsibilities, you qualify for this job position and they're not giving it to you. The next time you talk to your employer, you're letting them know that you're working for somebody else who gave you that job position because that's what you wanted in life. Now, if you're going to interviews, I don't recommend doing this unless you've got a guarantee that you're going to get hired. I would test the waters and then go back and tell my boss, hey, so-and-so competitor is offering me a job position in the job title that I asked you for with X number of pay. If you're not going to match that, I'm going to go with the other company. Giving them one last chance to keep you on before you relocate. But you can't do that if you don't gain the skill set for the new position. A lot of people recognize that you're doing your boss's job for your boss and still getting the pay of the crew. Well, if you're doing the job for your boss for a long enough period of time, you should be able to apply for a boss position inside of the company. Unless you've done something wrong, fights on a job, too many frequent absences from work, leaving from work early, coming to work late, all this other, unless you have a bad employment record with the employer, or if you're trying to get into a manager position from an hourly wage position and you're dealing with like criminal backgrounds or financial problems where some jobs really hinder on your credit score and your criminal background. And if you don't meet those criteria, they don't promote you, even if they wanted to. You recognize that you've hit a glass ceiling because of poor choices in your past. But if you've got nothing holding you back, your current employer should be able to say, all right, I'm going to put you in this position, even if I got to transfer you to do it. So looking at that, people have to ask themselves, is this what I really want? And if not, you got to go find something else. Now let's go ahead and touch base with the next one.
I feel like I'm going insane. I get matches, plenty of likes and even convos, but it doesn't matter. Only like 5% of my matches turn into anything, and out of that small percentage, only a few carry on to text/phone calls. But that doesn't even matter. As soon as I try to set up a date or even a phone call, I get ghosted or something magically comes up for them. I feel like I'm engaging enough. I don't try to push or be overly flirty, and I still have no success. It's like a magic switch goes off when I try to move things into in real life. I really don't understand what I'm doing wrong, and it's gotten me super depressed. Is anyone else having a similar experience? Has anyone found a solution?
First of all, you need to ignore the likes, because that's not genuine. On dating platforms, I told you guys earlier, I told you guys plenty of times over the past month or two, the algorithm will put two profiles together. If they like your photo or they like your bio, they hit the like button. But that's it. They're not interested in you. Some people scroll through dating apps, looking at photos, liking and disliking photos just to pass time. So you might get a match with somebody where you like their photo and they liked your photo, but they're not really interested in a relationship right now. They got too much stuff going on. They might be coming out of a bad relationship. They might have some financial troubles. They might be relocating. They might not, y'all might match, but y'all might not be in the same state, and they don't have the finances to commute to you, and they're not interested in a long distance relationship. There's a lot of different scenarios. They could have swiped on you and then started going on a date with somebody else. There's a lot of things that could be going on. Work starts becoming more demanding. Family problems. So just because they liked your profile doesn't mean that they were interested in a relationship right now. But as he said, about 5% of the people that he connect with turns into a conversation. It is the most aggressive rules of marketing. Cold call marketing. About 2 to 5% of the people that you reach out to will respond to you in a positive fashion. Out of 100% of the people that you communicate with, a lot of them really try to communicate with you to see if you're a real person. Some, depending on the app that you're on, are communicating with you because they are interested in communicating with you, but they're on the free membership, and free memberships on most dating platforms are limited. They don't want to pay for the membership, which puts them in a disadvantage unless you pay for the membership so that you can talk to them. Not a lot of people have a lot of capital to waste on dating platforms, especially if you have 5 or 7 different dating platforms. It's a waste of money to buy a membership for multiple different platforms. But if you find value in the contacts that are in that dating platform, and you invest in that dating platform for a month or 3 months, something like that, you will have the ability to communicate with all of the people on the platform. Those individuals that are on a free platform that are just riding a wave and waiting for somebody that's a VIP member to come and contact them, they will hold a communication with you after they confirm that you're a real person, if they've got time. But that doesn't mean that that person is not communicating with you because you did something wrong. They're not communicating with you because they've got other stuff going on, and the app is not as much of a priority as the text messages on the phone, which is not as much of a priority as the people that they engage with in person. So you're not going to have as much success getting the individual who's not proactively interested in you to get them to meet you in person. One of the problems we have is men trying to get women to meet men in person typically has the woman being cautious about the man putting her in a potato sack and throwing her in the back of the van. Men have to be cautious about where they're meeting women because they have to make sure that the woman is of age, because they can be catfished by a minor. Any individual, male or female, has had enough experience when the person that is reaching out to them encourages them to get off of the dating platform that they're on and talk on something like WhatsApp or WeChat or Skype or something like that, because scammers use this method to have communications with you where the platform does not recognize that communication as spam type communication, because you jumped off of the dating platform and went to an alternative platform, and now you're doing a bait and switch with the person who's looking for a genuine relationship. So because of this, a man genuinely trying to get a woman to video call so I can make sure that this is a real person, let's meet in person so I can make sure that she's really interested, that genuine intent is masked by the frequency of spammers that are trying to get you to go to a different app so that they can talk to you for a couple of days and then try to convince you to buy something or give them money for some reason. And that's going to make you discouraged to want to go to that app. That's going to also make you discouraged to want to press the relationship forward. If y'all are long distance, they're not going to be encouraged to meet you in person, because unless they're going to pick a location in their neighborhood where you're commuting 95% of the way to them, they're not going to be willing to meet you halfway. That's too much money. So you're going to have a lot of conversations that are going to stall out at the first contact, because not always do people look at the city and state of the person they match with. They look at the age. They look at the photo. They look if they're single, married, separated, or divorced. They look at if they've got kids. They might scroll down the page and look at what their body style is if they put their measurements up there. If they're smokers or non-smokers, drinkers or non-drinkers, if they care about religious beliefs, they're going to go through all of that stuff. Income, education, they're going to go through all of that stuff. Eventually, they'll look at, oh shit, this person is not in my state. This person's not in my city. This person's not in my country. And there's a lot of people who tell themselves, I can't afford to commute back and forward to have an in-person relationship with that distance. Got nothing to do with you, that distance. And we all know that long distance relationships are less likely to succeed, specifically from the out of sight, out of mind perspective. And since a lot of us spend more time texting back and forward and less time engaging each other in person or engaging each other virtually where we can see each other's face, we forget that we have a partner that we're in a relationship with. First time you can connect with somebody that's closer, you could have been talking to somebody that's in another country for years. But the first time that you can connect with somebody that's closer, especially when you can't afford to fly to that other country on a monthly basis, you typically abandon that. You just stop responding. Communications grow cold. You get busy. You forget to respond. You forget to reach out, and it just dissipates. So there's nothing you personally can do to change your outcomes on a dating platform besides updating your photos regularly so that people know that you are a legitimate profile. Because people like to steal photos and create dummy accounts and then use those dummy accounts to bait and switch people. Update your photos regularly. I would say once a month or once every 3 months. Adjust your bio. Be specific about exactly what kind of relationship you're looking for. If it's a marriage-driven dating, make sure that that's at the top of the list. But what kind of woman are you looking for? And make sure that you end that description with serious inquiries only, where you're making it a point to let them know that this is exactly what I want. And if that's not what you're willing to do, don't even swipe right on my platform. Then the first conversation you're going to have is going to be somebody who read your bio and genuinely wants what you got to offer or is willing to fulfill your criteria and your expectations. You can even put it in your bio that you are genuinely looking for dating and marriage, that you're looking for in-person engagements as a priority. You're looking for video communications as a secondary, that you're looking for, again, serious inquiries only. If it's in your bio, when she reaches out to you, y'all get through the hi, how are yous. And as soon as you say, can I Skype you? Can I WhatsApp you? Can I video call you so that we can talk face to face? She's going to know when she accepted that profile that that's exactly what you were looking for. Then on that video call, if she agrees to that, you establish the date from the virtual call. If she agrees to the date from the virtual call, you're more likely to get her to show. You got to pick a public place that's neutral, closer to her. That way she's not commuting. And that is the best that you can do. If she doesn't show, it's on her. But she confirmed for the sake of her safety that you look like your photo. And one thing I've noticed, a lot of women are putting nicknames up there on their profile photos. Bro, if you put your freaking name on there, you put your government name on there, they Google your government name. When they see your name, if your name is Danielle, And then when you say, hey, how you doing? Danielle. And then when you get the video call, I'm Danielle, not sugar baby 6'5". What? You know, not camel meat 74. You need to stop with these nicknames on your profile. Put your genuine name up there. Put the nickname that you want them to identify you as in person. If you've got if your name is Lorenzo, and you want them to call you Ren, that's fine. You put Ren up there. Then when they communicate with you, my full name is Lorenzo, but my friends call me Ren. Straight. I know exactly who I'm talking to right now. But for me, reaching out to Wet Kitty 45, nah, that's all right. That's all right. The thought process you had when you came up with that username indicates that you are not what I was looking for. So beyond that, guys, there is not much left that we can do. If they're not interested, they're not interested. But you also got to remember, spammers, if they hit your account once before and they accidentally came across it again, once they realize that they've already talked to you, they're going to shut the conversation down. So don't take it personal. You're going to get blocked because they don't want to continue to hit your account and get blocked. They're going to unmatch you because they already tried you and you turned down the scam. So if they don't respond, if the conversation dies quickly, if they block you and you didn't do nothing wrong, if they unfriend you and you didn't do nothing wrong, don't worry about that. 9 times out of 10, that was a scammer. And they just realized that they've come across your account before. So don't take it to heart. If you can get them to look at you and talk to you in person, then you can figure it out. But if they're not willing to talk to you face to face on a video call until you guys can meet up in person, they are not worth your time. So go back to doing whatever it was that you was doing before that person responded to you. Because if you dwell on the what ifs, if you dwell on all of the unsuccessful engagements, you're going to run yourself into a level of depression that is not necessary for you. And you don't deserve that. No business that is successful cares about any of the customers that didn't buy the product. They only care about the customers that did buy the product. They only care about the customers that continues to rebuy the product. They're not paying attention to anybody who saw their product and said, nope, I'm not doing it. Do you think that Ford gives a shit about the Dodge market? No. Same damn car. We're selling our products to our competitor. They look the same. So even if they buy Dodge, they're using Ford parts. So I'm still making money. I don't care if they don't come to me. I'm still getting mine. And your mentality and relationship should be the same thing. I don't care if they don't come to me, because it's better for one that's not interested in me to not waste my time than for one that is not interested in me to use me for my resources. When you change your mentality to that, you're glad that they blocked you, stopped communicating with you, stopped following through with you, because that particular person more than likely would have benefited from all of your effort to try to convince them to stay with you, and they had no interest in staying with you in the first place. But a person that has every intention to stay with you, they're going to change their schedule. They're going to reach out to you more than you reach out to them. They're going to make time for you. They're going to video call you. They're going to travel to you. They're going to do whatever they can to be in your personal space more often than you want them in your personal space, because they're interested in you. So if you're not experiencing that, you need to go ahead and push on to the next person. Now, I got to wrap things up because I've got some clients that I got to deal with in the next 10 minutes. So make sure that y'all stay tuned, because I already put up the information about Donald Trump's actions from 2 days ago. I got all the information together for it. Y'all see it on the YouTube channel. Make sure that y'all like that channel, hit the like that show, and hit the notification button on that show from the YouTube channel, even if you watch us from Twitch or Twitter when we go live. We're going to be trying to go live at around about 11:35 Eastern Standard Time, which is about 10:35 Central Standard Time tomorrow night. And we're going to be talking about what U.S. and Iran is doing. This is not hate speech, so don't think that y'all gonna come here and get me to sit here and try to talk bad about Iran, because I don't know nothing about Iran. I just know exactly, well, I know a little bit about Iran because I covered Iran as one of the best places to go live. But I'm talking about what he did and why he did it. And I was right when I talked about it yesterday. There was a strategic plan as to why he did what he did, and we're going to go into that tomorrow. Then after that, on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about the Trump phone and celebrity branding of telecommunications and what kind of market that's going to build. And then we're going to be talking about other countries to live in on Wednesday. So make sure that you guys like and subscribe and follow us every night of the week, because we're talking about different ways for you to improve yourselves, improve your finances, and with the political disarray that is going on worldwide, where you should relocate your capital as far as what's going on. And with this war that's going on, I can tell you right now, a lot more rich people are moving their money to gold and silver because of what's going on with Iran and the United States. But I can also tell you that with what's going on with Iran and the United States, you can spend more money on oil and make you a ton of money, because it costs a lot of money to fly troops to another country. When you start talking about like missiles and other such stuff, you can invest more into the military programs because they have investment opportunities for those. I did a show covering that. And there's also the technology that is related to defense and the cybersecurity. You can invest in those companies and turn a decent profit off of that, because the more tools that they use for drones and everything like that, that's all AI technology that is backed by a specific company that has a government contract. So you can invest in that company and turn a profit off of them putting more emphasis on the development of any tactical warfare equipment. So again, anything that happens around the world, there's a financial aspect to it, and we're going to cover it on the show. So with that being said, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And then fellas, 75% of this podcast is men. It's a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective. I'm going to give y'all what y'all need to know to become higher value men, not just based on your social status and your financial status, but based on the improvement of your personality and your characteristics. So utilize this information, but this information is not gender biased. So the ladies can take this information and make themselves higher value women as well. And in doing so, guys, you got competition that you got to work with. So in order for you to be that higher value man, you got to do it as good as her, if not better. So don't let distractions fool you. Go ahead and do what you got to do and get yourself together. If you anything about your life that you don't like, you come to the show. Let's talk about it. I'll give you some ways to make some changes. I really appreciate you covering Rev Chap 76. I'm going to see you tomorrow. Thank you guys for coming to this and that. I'm Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.